a lot happening over the course of the last week. The doubleheader that usually happens Monday Night Football during Week 1 has now been expected to move to Week 18, which would be a Monday Night Football header that would happen on Saturday near the tail end of the year. Also, news that came out around Thursday night, Friday morning was the Chargers co-owner has asked a court to force a team sale. Now, this doesn't happen very often, but there's a good reason why. The Spanos family is over $350 million in debt. I've seen over 350 million. I've seen over 353 million. But 350 is more of the exact number. And this was brought up by the Spanos family, particularly Dia Spanos, which will use her maiden name for this, because I don't know how to say her last name. What happened was the Spanos family, when Alex Spanos, their father, and Faye Spanos, his wife, both passed away in 2018, they left 15%, Alex Spanos had about 60 to 70% ownership. The rest was majority owners. That got split into 4 equal parts to the kids. Alexandra, Michael, Dean, and Dia Spanos. They all got 15%. Dia Spanos said that they're so in debt, it doesn't make any sense for them to even have the team. So she's trying to force a sale. But the other three were saying, we'll buy her out. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And it would not affect the day-to-day operations. This was in a memo that they said it would not affect the day-to-day operations. Everything is fine, no problem. Well, no, that's not all true. You see, Dean and Dia Spanos both control the day-to-day operation. She's there all the time, as well as Dean. And at first, when we heard that the Chargers were going to be with the Rams in their new stadium, and the Chargers were only spending $1 to stay in that stadium for many years, that's all they have to pay, we all thought, well, it's because the Spanos, particularly Dean Spanos, is cheap. Well, now we know, according to this report, that he's not cheap. It's because the team, particularly mostly the Spanos, are in debt by a lot. Mostly because when they moved to LA, because you have to pay about $100 million to move a team, they're so in debt over the course of time, and including that doesn't help. So if the Spanoses are forced to sell, it will be very interesting. The 49ers want, more or less is a better term, said that they want to get a first-round pick if you're going to consider trading Jimmy Garoppolo. They should, because they moved up to 3, so chances are they're going to get a quarterback either Justin Fields or Mac Jones, because we're pretty confident that Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence go to Jacksonville and the Jets, respectively. We'll see what happens, but Najee Harris, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his first name correctly, has said that before the 49ers traded up, he thought he was going to get drafted by them. That's just the draft. That's how it goes. We all think we're going to go one place, and oh wait, no, they traded up. Maybe, but we'll see. This happened late last night. The Jets have traded Sam Darnold to the Panthers for a 2021 6th-round pick, a 2022 4th-round pick, and a 2022 2nd-round pick. This was expected to happen. The Jets wanted to move on. Josh McCown said about his former teammate that Sam Darnold would embrace the quarterback competition. Now he's in Carolina. Which brings up news, where's Teddy Bridgewater going to go? Well, reportedly by the general manager of the Panthers, he is going to be allowed to pick his team that he wants to go to. So he can talk to teams wherever he wants to go. He's like, I want to go there. Okay, now let's try to trade him over there. It's a smart move. I like Teddy Bridgewater the player. I love Teddy Two Gloves. I think it was a great performance that he put on this year. I just think he needs a chance to go get used to weapons and actually have a training camp. Hopefully, on the next team, he will have that opportunity. A proposed rule that might happen is kickoffs that, if they go through the uprights, could equal 1 point. Now, this was brought up by Pat McAfee. He said that he got a semi-proposed rule was this, as people just throw things to the wall and see if they stick. And this was might happen, but it would have to be like an 80-yard field goal, as McAfee was saying. It would have to be like an 80-yard field goal. Maybe people would have to know that he's going to try and do this. But it would be interesting because you could win a game 15-14 with 4 seconds left. That would be very interesting. Aaron Rodgers says that the future with the Packers is uncertain. He got interviewed by the Pat McAfee show. And he said that they were in the same spot they were the previous year. And he's saying that he knows he can still do this because he won the MVP last year. Man threw 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in the regular season. And had about 8 touchdowns and 1 interception in the postseason. He can still do it. He can still do it. So, it's going to be very interesting. I hope he gets to stay in Green Bay. Yeah, you always hope a player stays in one area for their whole career. But that doesn't seem to really happen anymore. But it's very important if you're the Packers to keep him. J.C. Horn, the son of Joe Horn, former Saint and Kansas City Chiefs player, said being drafted by the Cowboys would be a huge deal. And that obviously would be. Who doesn't want to go to one of the biggest markets in the NFL? And the fact that not just you could be sitting there at 10, and same thing with Surtain, they could be sitting there at 10. That's a great pick. Which one do you want? They both had great pro days. We'll see what happens. Anquan Bolden, a former San Francisco and former Arizona Cardinal, as well as former Baltimore Raven, has been helping his hometown since he's retired, but now is giving them the ability to actually get vaccinations because he made vaccination stations where they could all get vaccinated. He's helped out his hometown really when he retired. He still had a few years left, and he went and retired to help out his hometown, a real community working person and a very good football player. Antonio Brown wants the Bucks to re-sign him, which who wouldn't? He did play well when he came down the stretch. I would. I think he's a very good player, and you can get him on the cheap. So I would do it, yeah. After surgery 2 months ago, Patrick Mahomes is still in a walking boot. Now, this is not like an ankle boot. This is an actual full foot up to like your knee boot. Meaning, he had surgery after the Super Bowl, about 2 days after the Super Bowl. He had turf toe, which basically means your toe doesn't go down, and a lot of people, including what Ray Lewis said, was his toe was locked. Basically, he couldn't move his toe at all. So, it's very dangerous. Patrick Mahomes, it's very dangerous because if you see what Patrick Mahomes, if he goes into OTAs or camp and he still has a boot on, there's a little concern of, well, was it a little more dangerous? Was it worse off? Did he have something else wrong? We'll see what happens. you obviously want to hope for the player's safety, but it's been like 2 months since he had surgery and he still has the boot on. It's a little strange. Rodney Hudson has a new contract. New contract, it goes out to 3 years, $30 million, $16 million guaranteed. He had a 1-year deal contract that only had about $9.9 million. This new contract is 2 years, $20.1 million as he was extended. Also gives him 2 voidable years. And in his old contract, he only had about $3.5 million guaranteed. Now he has $16 million guaranteed. Okay. So into the proposed rules we go. As I'm trying to get my notes up, because a lot of information that came up. Okay, here we go here. By the competition committee, they want to eliminate the overtime in preseason. Makes sense. It's kind of idiotic to have a preseason overtime. Doesn't make any sense. I like that rule. I think it makes a lot of sense. Competition committee wants to also, for 1 year, only have a maximum number of players in a setup zone. Basically, they want somewhat of an opportunity to fix, as what they said, they're mending as much as they can, but that rule is like, it's, you hope, but again, competition committee rules usually go in the further direction as an actual proposed rule. The competition committee wants to expand the prohibition of blocking below the waist. So basically, they want you to still be able, on defensive players, along 5 yards, that they could be at least 2 yards down the field instead of 1. It does make sense, but it's a little convoluted and it would probably need to be cleaned up. The fourth rule that was by the competition committee and coaches subcommittee and by the Baltimore Ravens is to permit referee official to be able to say to the official on the field, hey, you got this call wrong, we have to fix it right now. No, it's a catch. No, it's not a catch. Okay, so we get more rules. Easier. Club proposals, the Chicago Bears want, if a team takes excessive penalties that they would be accepted, they would have to move. It would have to be where they asked. So basically, they would have to move if a good way to explain it would be them moving, hey, we want to put that penalty on the kickoff. If we get penalized again, it's going to go back on the kickoff as well. The Rams want to eliminate the second forward pass that actually happened because of Tom Brady when he threw a ball 2 times and it got swatted once, but the second time it wasn't. Kansas City wants every player to could have their own numbers no matter what position, so receivers could wear the number 1 or 9 or whatever instead of having to wear team numbers or 80s or whatever. The Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles want to change the overtime coin toss and create a true sudden death format. Doesn't work very well. We'll see what happens. Basically, they want the team to be able to say, okay, we want the ball there, offense or defense, what do you want? Baltimore also want to eliminate the overtime in the preseason, by the way. The Eagles permit to maintain possession of the ball after scoring by one offensive play instead of having an onside kick, do a 4th and 15. The last rule, Baltimore wants there to be a sky judge official on the field so they could figure out new play so the rules are not as convoluted. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that these proposal rules should be all brought into the NFL? Only a few? You decide.